Hello YouTube, hi, my name is Mark and this is Nixon Motorsports. This channel is all about motorsports, from racing to exotic cars and much more. Hey, today's video, we're going to install a solar inverter based power system in this trailer, and I thought you might enjoy this, so let's get into it, okay? Come on. So as we all know, trailers like this come with usually just one 12-volt battery, and they charge based on the vehicle that's pulling them, and they provide basic lighting inside the vehicle and so on, or radios and such. So this has that as well. So the reason I'm adding a solar inverter system here is a couple reasons. I want to have security on the trailer, so I can actually have monitored security, you know, cell-based security 24/7. You need power to be able to do that, and I want to be able to leave the trailer long durations possibly, and not worry about losing energy, right? So that's one reason. The other reason, I'm irritated and tired of having those 12-volt single batteries always dead. It seems like it's a common thing if you do not trailer or tow your trailer very frequently. And the other reason, I just want to be able to have 120 volts inside the trailer whenever I really need it. Not that I'll be running air compressors and that kind of thing. That's not the interest, but you know, so I have continuous Wi-Fi, I have internet that's on all the time, I have security, and ultimately I have 120 volts in the trailer for light use all the time, okay? So how do you do it? What do you do? What are the steps? One, you need batteries, you need an inverter, and you need solar panels. And if you've never done solar before, it's not that complicated. The basic components are what I've just described. So the question is, what kind of load do you have? What amount of solar regeneration capability are you going to include? And then batteries. You'll need batteries for sunny days, or during the evening, that type of thing, or cloudy weather. So you need enough battery capacity to be able to handle whatever duration you think is appropriate, you know, a day, 2-3 days, that type of thing, without sun. And so you have to size your batteries based on your expected daily load. And then you need enough solar panels for regeneration of energy consumption, right? Not too difficult. So let me walk over here. Now, I have not mounted these yet, but up on the roof, I will mount solar panels. So let me walk in here. So these are the solar panels that I'll be using for this install. As I pick this up, you can see these things are extremely light, very low profile. These are from Renology. They are 200-watt panels. They're a little more money than your frame-based panels, but 200 watts a panel and nice and low profile. So I'll show you how I will mount these on the roof, and using an adhesive in my case. I'm not going to drill holes. So just 2 panels for the moment. So that's just 400 watts. That's fine, right? I'll add probably a couple more to that as I size the system. From there, you need inverters, you need solar chargers, you need your batteries. So let me walk over here and show you what I'm doing. Now, I'm using the generator bay for the bulk of my solar system itself. Now, for the moment, so I have 2 100 amp 12-volt batteries in here at the moment. These are lead acid. They're temporary. I'll be putting lithium ion batteries in here. These things are just way too heavy. But I had them, so I just connect them for the moment. I have a DC breaker connected to the batteries themselves. And then down here on the bottom, you'll see that's a shunt. That's what it's called. That's a Bluetooth device that actually measures load going out from your battery, consumption, load coming in, or energy coming in from solar. So you're able to monitor through your phone very easily. So from there I go to small 2 little bus bars for, again, that's DC power, 12 volts. And then up on top to the left here, that's called a or PV combiner box. So I will have my solar panels on the roof. They will be plumbed down in here into this panel. And this is breaker protection and lightning protection for the solar system itself. So those will connect directly to the panels, and from the solar panels or through the breaker box here, that will then connect to this, it's called a charge controller. So this is the device up here, the blue thing, that's actually taking solar energy input and converting it to power out, and it will connect to and charge the batteries directly, right? Now I have enough space here. I can add probably a couple more batteries with no trouble. Again, I'll start with just 2 lithium ion batteries. They'll be 12 volt, 100 amp hour each. And for my light load, that should be more than enough for a couple days with no issue. So that's what I'll do there. And then these are here just temporary. I just wanted to connect it. This is my inverter, and it's a 12 volt inverter, 1200 watt, and this will provide AC power to the trailer itself. And again, not intended for air compressors and heavy load items, but you know, clearly you could run a computer off that, a few things, and lights and all sorts of things if you wanted to. So that's basically what I'm doing here in the generator bay. I'm just repurposing that for solar. Make sense? All right, so once I wire this up, the next step actually is I will mount my solar panels up on the roof. And you can tell, you know, as a 30-footer, I haven't measured that yet, but I could probably put 10, maybe even 12 panels up on the roof. I don't need that kind of energy, not for my light use that I'll be doing. But again, I'll start with 2 panels. I'll put a little load on the system, you know, see what I need. Now, you'll need to think about this if you haven't done solar charge controllers before. Charge controllers have a voltage and a current. They have all kinds of different charge controllers, some as high as 500-600 volts, and so on. You'll need to determine whether you're serial or parallel in your connections from your solar panels. And for an example, if you go higher voltage into your charge controllers, you need smaller wire, right? If you have higher current, if you depend on, again, parallel or series connection, if you're multiplying your current, you'll need a heavier gauge wire. So keep that in mind. But you need to make sure you configure your solar panels, again, either multiply by parallel or series connection, whether you're multiplying, again, voltage or your amperage into your solar controller. So keep that in mind. It's not too complicated, but based on that, that will allow you to configure correctly into your charge controller. So from here, once I get the solar panels on, I'll clean up some of the temporary wiring in here. I'll bring the AC output from the inverter in this bay up inside the trailer. Let me show you what I plan on doing. Now, to me, it makes sense. To tap into the system, right? The AC, here's a breaker on the outside, or a AC outlet, sorry, on the outside of the trailer. Typical trailers will have that. In fact, I could add more if I wanted to. But, even to the rear of the trailer, if you look over there where I'm pointing, there's an AC outlet there. It's an AC outlet here, right? Normal stuff. So what I'll be doing is bringing the AC output up into the breaker box. Now I'll probably put another load center or another small little breaker box to tap into the trailer's AC grid. But once I do that, all of these AC outlets will actually be powered by the solar inverter system. Does that make sense? So with that, let me get the panels up on the roof. Let me add a few more pieces to this install, and I'll bring you back and talk about it then. All right, today we're actually going to be installing the solar panels themselves up on the roof. So we'll have to head up on the roof and take the panels. Now let me talk about panels just for a second first. So as I showed at the start of the video, the Rheology panels that I'm using, they're 200 watt panels. They're a vinyl sort of material, very light, and actually pretty awesome, I think, for this purpose. Now you could use fixed frame solar panels and use those instead. They're about the same price for the higher end panels. So for an example, you know, at our home we have bifacial 440 watt solar panels, so a lot of output. They're about 7 foot tall by about, I think it's 4 foot 48 inches wide. They're about 70 pounds. So you need to think about that if you're going to put that type of panels up on your roof. For my purpose here, I'm not going to be powering, you know, big AC loads like air compressors, that type of thing. I don't need that much power. So I went with these 200 watt panels. And again, for the primary reason, they are extremely light. You can either screw them down to the roof on their mounting tabs or use adhesive. I'll be using adhesive on the install here, so I'll show you that. But they are super light, so that's what we're doing. Let's pull the panels out, and let me take you in here first. So I have it tore apart at the moment. You can see inside the OEM kind of a AC panel. I'll be retrofitting all of this and putting a new load center, a new load panel in here. And I had to decide where I wanted to have my conduit for the solar PV lines themselves. So I actually have a hole in the roof. Let me go over here and show you. Now, look, that would make anybody nervous, putting a hole in your roof on any trailer, right? Here's what I did. Now I went with a 2-inch hole. I'll be putting a breaker box up here, and the PV panels will be mounted up here on the rooftop itself, and the lines brought into this junction box. It will be sealed and waterproof and so on here into the rest of the trailer. Okay, so let me get the panels up here. Let me get this kind of organized a little bit, figure out where or how I'm mounting the junction box, get that on, and I'll bring you back. All right, so let's get back up on the roof. I put my junction box up here. I have not sealed anything yet. Have not put any of the PV lines in here yet. But basically, all I did is I have a hole here that goes into the trailer itself. These will be the sealed input lines here. This obviously will have a cover, and then I'll be putting sealant all the way around I got a little crack on this. I'll have to replace that. Around the sides here of this thing to seal it, you know, make it watertight, of course, right? So next up, I'm going to clean the roof up a bit, get it ready, and get the solar panels up here, and then I can start stringing the power lines themselves. All right, so here's what I've done with the solar panels. I have some adhesive on the bottom of the panels. For the moment, I just put some adhesive or tape down to hold the cabling. I want to make sure I don't have any issues with the inverter and the charge controller and all that stuff. But you can see what I've done with these 3 panels. Now that's 600 watts. I could easily probably get 8 or 10 panels up here if I configured them correctly. Looks like I could go 3 wide if I wanted to. This is more than enough though for what I'm doing. So they're into the junction box. This goes below. I'll clean all this up later, but I just wanted to show you what I've done here with the solar panels. All right, let me show you where I'm at. Got a lot of wires in, just kind of temporary. So I'm going to use this generator bay for the bulk of my system itself. And don't worry, in the video, I'll have below the different parts that I've used in the system so you know that. But so in this section here, I'll have my batteries. These are lead acid. I'll replace these with lithium ion. I have enough room here, I think, for about 4 batteries. Here's a master DC breaker for the battery system itself. And then up here on the left is the panel for the solar input itself. So the PV input, and this just has one string, they call it, goes into this, and there's a breaker for that as well, and then there's a lightning surge protection that if I can get the trailer grounded, that will actually help. So that feeds into the charge controller, which is this device here, and then these are simply bus bars for DC energy, so the plus and the plus 12 volts and ground. This is a shunt here, and the shunt is a device that allows you to measure the load and your battery state of charge, that type of thing, so it's pretty cool. This is the inverter over here at the moment. It's kind of a mess in here. This is, again, temporary. I just got the solar panels up. The breaker's on, the charger is working. I threw a little monitor on here. This is showing it's currently charging. It's 382 watts at the moment of charge input, and that's it. So that's where I'm at. I got a lot of work yet to do. So let me get cleaning some of this up and get things tacked down, and then I'll bring you back. All right. All right. So in the solar system, you know, the entire power system itself, I had to install what's called a load center. So I'll have independent breakers here. I'll have a master breaker that will basically ignite this panel itself, and then each of the other breakers, and I'll be adding others here, will be for individual circuitry within the trailer, right? The lights, the power outlets, that type of thing. So I'll be using conduit to bring line in, and conduit bringing line out. And I had to tap a hole both here in the lower front corner, and then one actually up underneath the tray here, and that actually leads up into the roof. So this is the OEM power distribution center itself. It does have a small inverter that I will be disabling. I will not be using that. So I'll be removing the AC load capability and such through here, and I'll be sorting through it as far as I want to make sure I hook up my 12 volts for the 12 volt lighting in the trailer as well. But this will be pretty dormant actually, and I'll just plug it back in play in space up here just so it doesn't look too bad. But this new load panel or load center itself will be doing the bulk of everything for power distribution. So more work here on the load panel itself and conduit from and around the trailer. So I will not be using the original power panel that was provided. I do have some 12 volt power needs that I'll have to put a fused terminal block up there just for that purpose and to power the radio. But all of the AC power outlets themselves, or power lines, actually are feeding into this load panel, and so this will provide I have to redo some of this, but this will provide a breaker from the inverter itself, and a breaker for the generator input should you want to use generator input. So that's all this is doing. And up here in the corner, I have a hotspot, so Wi-Fi itself, and it has an external antenna that goes up on the roof. So that will provide continuous internet capability for the trailer itself, right? So let me walk out here and show you where I'm at on the inverter bay itself. Still have some work to do yet. Now, here's the basics that I've done. So again, this is the generator bay itself. Currently I have 2 lead acid batteries in here. Those will be replaced with lithium ion batteries. They should be here tomorrow, I think it is. I wanted to leave enough room here if I wanted to expand. So this is 200 amp hours, 12 volt batteries. They're 100 amp hour each. I think that will be more than enough, but I have enough room here on the floor where I could actually continue to expand that. Now, these are in parallel, as you can tell. So the 12 volt power, or the 12 volt battery output remains the same. In series, you would actually change that, right? So I want to keep it at 12 volts. The 12 volt batteries themselves have a master breaker, a DC breaker. And this DC breaker provides power to the fuse block. So the left fuse block there, the one that's red, is plus 12 volts, and the one slightly above in black is ground. So that's how power is provided, at least to the fuse block. Now, you'll see here towards the bottom, this is a shunt, and I use all Vectron energy products in here. Again, just a preference. You can use anything you want, of course. The shunt is a great device. It provides state of charge from your energy store, your battery system. So that's pretty powerful. Then if I roll up above, this is the charge controller here in the blue, and this actually takes the solar panel input and then connects directly to the battery. So it actually is charging, providing energy back into the batteries themselves. So that's all the charge controller does. Rolling over here to the left, this guy, this is a, they call it a combiner box. The reason I stuck one in here is it provides nice breakers from the solar panel itself, and it has lightning protection. So that's why I threw that in here. And oh, this little guy over here to the far left, that's just a GPS tracker for the trailer. That's all that is. If I roll up to the top, that is another Victron product. It is Wi-Fi connected, and it basically takes all of your Victron products. So from the inverter, the charge controller, the shunt, and so on, and it provides a connectivity piece, either Bluetooth or over the internet, activity of your system as a whole. So that's what that is. And if I roll back down here then, as I just scanned over here, so from DC power, so DC power does come over here to the inverter itself. The inverter has, this inverter is relatively small, but it has one 120 volt output. That 120 volt output then is fed up to the load center up inside the trailer itself, okay? So kind of an update here on the electrical panel and such. I have a handful of conduit items there. I'll see if I can clean those up a little bit and get them tacked in place when I'm finally done. I'll have two master breakers. So I'll have one that's connecting the inverter power to the load center, and the other breaker will be for generator input. You're not going to be able to use both. It's either or, but that's what I'm doing. And then up above in this old space where the old power module was for the trailer, I'll be putting a DC 12 volt power fuse block up there for some of the 12 volt accessories in the trailer. So I got to get that done. I need to tie my battery from my generator bay, right, the inverter battery system, to the 12 volt grid here for the trailer. So just wanted to give you an update of what that's looking like. So today I'll be focusing on trying to get the rest of the load center or this load panel done. I have some wiring from the original install I need to put in place. There's some DC power cabling that actually I want to hook up, right? Because that's what actually powers all these interior dome lights and LED lighting that's in the trailer. So I got to hook that up. These heavier duty, I think they're 4 or 6 gauge. These are connections to the battery. These heavier duty cables are connections to the battery. I'm going to extend them and bring them down into the inverter battery bay, and I need to do all that as well, okay? So let me pan in here. I know it's a little dark. It's cloudy today, but hopefully you can see this. Just do a quick little update. I have a couple solar panel items I need to take care of today, so I have that cover off over there. I added this small, it's a 30 amp, 120 volt charger for the battery pack. And I did that because there'll be moments where I do not have sufficient sunlight, like today, and I have all kinds of stuff running in the trailer. So anyway, I thought I would add that and just keep it installed here in the event that for whatever reason the batteries are discharged and you want to do a little accelerated charge. So that's all this is. It's another Vicron product. I use the Vicron stuff where I can, at least in this install. They're all smart devices, so they all have Bluetooth connectivity. Even this charger, actually, I can connect to this with my smartphone, so it's pretty cool. All of the other modules, though, the shunt, the inverter, the solar charge controller and all that, they all go up to that Gerber S. It's the kind of a networking device for their products, and so I can connect with it over the internet and see load, state of charge in the batteries, how the solar panels are doing, and so on. Okay, so as you can tell, I've kept enough space here. I can add 2 more lithium-ion batteries if I want to. This is a little bit of a question as far as how much load will I have on a continuous basis. How much load will I have, and how long do I want the battery system to keep the basic electronics operational when there's no sun, right? So currently the calculation shows I have enough for about 7, 8, maybe 9 days with no solar energy. Currently, I would say that that's more than enough, but you know, long winter conditions, of course, right? You could be easily a week or 2 as possible. So we'll see what I'm going to do there. I'm not sure yet. Also on the solar panels, it's a question of sizing there as well. I'm going to add another panel. They're 200 watts each. I'm going to add another panel because, well, so that's 800 in theory watts, right? About a 5-hour day, that's about 4,000 watts roughly of energy production. However, the panels on the flat roof of the trailer are never optimal for the sun, right? There's always you know, an ideal angle that you'd want to have them at. So they're not going to be at 100% efficiency as far as output. And so for that reason, that's why I'm adding 4 panels instead of 3. So here's some 4 gauge copper wire. I'm going to use this to connect the batteries to the trailer itself, right? So 2 reasons: the lighting on the interior, and ultimately I'm putting a electric jack up front here, so that needs powering. And then of course all the trailer lights that are pre-wired for 12 volts. So if I look up here on the outside, those are 12 volts as well. So, you know, makes sense, make those connected so they work all the time. So let me talk about the solar panels and how I'm mounting them and why. Initially, I tacked them in place, just a little bit of adhesive on them. It was temporary. I just went down the road a couple miles, and sure enough, you know, it doesn't take very much. You know, obvious, right? Any kind of wind that you'll get on it, a solar panel could be a problem. So a lot. I've spent the time, took them apart, and focused on the mount themselves to make sure that the mount's going to work. So we'll see when we get on the road and do a test. But what I'm using is this. It's like a, well, I'll have the name of this actually on the video link below. You can look for that. But it's a double-sided tape. It's very very sticky. I would consider this probably a permabond type of adhesive. I'm using this with basically like a T-track rail, and I'll climb up here and show you this in just a minute. A T-track rail that is mounted with that tape on the roof itself, and with those T-track rails, I'm able to put hex bolts in there and move their position around as needed to actually bolt the panels to, right? Now, those are about, I think they're 3/8 of an inch thick. So there's a little bit of gap, obviously, from the solar panel to the rooftop itself. I'm putting some plastic, corrugated plastic panel underneath the solar panel. So that corrugated plastic and the solar panel will be mounted on these rails with bolts in place. So I think that's a good way to do it. Now, the front edges of these solar panels need to be protected as well. So I actually have, I picked up this, what do we call it? It's like an L-shape aluminum piece. I'll cut these to length, but basically I'll be mounting these on the front edge of the solar panel, right? And I'll use that double-sided tape on the front as well, so they'll be glued, if you will, to the aluminum roof itself. All right, so on the solar panels, I'm going to put this corrugated plastic. It's like a cardboard, but it's plastic. Let me show you. Here's a piece I have on the bench. It's pretty tough. This is 1/4 inch thick. I'm going to put this on the roof itself, kind of a sandwich layer in between the panel, and simply to try to keep it off the aluminum for heat reasons. It does get quite hot up there, but from a mounting point of view, I have these little T-tracks that I'm using, and that brings the height closer to the top of the T-track where I'll be bolting down the solar panels, right? So let me go back over here. So all I'm doing, so I trim this to size. I'll be drilling the mounting holes here for the plastic material, and then put them underneath the panel up on the roof. So I'll show you that when I get up there. Okay, so I'm up on the roof, just trying to get this cleaned up a touch. So here's one of the mounts that I have in place, and I use this, I think it's called permabond, but I'll give you the name on this later in the video. It's a double-sided, very, very sticky material that these are actually glued down to the rooftop itself. And you can see it's got these sliding tracks here, so you can move your mounting points where you need. I'm going to now put the plastic corrugated material on top here, and then put the solar panel on top of that and decide what steps next. So let me go ahead and get this plastic material down and see what's next, all right? Okay, so I have one panel installed. I just added a little more of reinforcement. This is actually tape for plugging up holes, that kind of thing, but don't have any issue with that. I'm just trying to put a little extra support on this thing. I haven't done this before, so we'll see how well this works, right? What I added though is this front edge here, this piece of aluminum, and I use this double-sided permabond tape that is super strong on that front edge. I think that's going to do a pretty good job. I'm probably going to put another nice strip of this heavy-duty water seal tape on top of that as well, just for a little extra reinforcement. You know, you want to stop air from getting in the inside from the front edge if you can. We'll see how that works. I mean, I might even, just talking out loud here, you know, I might even consider strips on the side like this too. I don't think I need that, but we'll find out, right? So anyway, let me keep going on this thing, and I'll update you once I have another change done, okay? Okay, I'm not done, but I want to give you a little update. I got a bunch of cables and things, obviously, as you can see, kind of strung around here a little bit. But this is basically what I'm thinking for the install on the panels. Time will tell how well this works. I mean, I'll have to obviously anchor down my cabling. I'll have to make some new cabling. I do have, this is just 3 by the way, so I do have 2 more solar panels coming. I'm just going to put those to the rear and continue this direction. That's more than enough. That's 1,000 watts of solar energy for my application here. That's probably a little on the overkill side. But anyway, that's what this is looking like. And by the way, I kept calling it permabond. So this is the material I've been using for the adhesive for these rails, right? It's called Eternabond, actually. It's highly recommended. Seems to be just tougher than snot. So I'm banking on the fact that that's going to work well. All right, so here is the 5 panels that I have up on the roof. I just added 2 more, moved some of the cabling around a little bit, zip tied them down and put some clamps on a couple of the different corners to keep the cables from flopping around. So this is in series, so I'm multiplying the VOC, or the voltage, open current voltage, for these solar panels. And these will feed in, obviously, solar energy into the charge controller. And there's about 1,000 watts here at peak. So when these things are doing their thing, they'll produce about up to 1,000 watts. Anyway, so this is what the solar panel array looks like on the roof of the trailer. So I have the solar system complete. It's in the trailer, it's operational. I added a little more solar panel capacity and battery capacity as well. Trying to get the right size of ability to charge, and when there is no sun, of course, how many batteries to keep power for a certain number of days. So that's what I've gone through. Now here's what I've done. This is a standby little charger. If I wanted to plug in power to help charge the batteries, I could do that. I just have a little pigtail here sitting there if I want to do that. So it'll charge, I think it's a 30 amp peak that it will provide energy to the batteries directly. Now, if I just walk through the system here for you, let's start with the batteries since I'm staring at them. Now, these are lithium-ion batteries. They are in parallel, and I have a negative pickup on this side and the positive pickup on the other side. And those feed into these bus bars back over here. So that's the power distribution panel, if you want to think of it that way. Now I do have a DC breaker. This breaker is in place so I can actually remove plus 12 volts from the power distribution if I chose to, okay, or needed to. Now each of the batteries have these smart monitors. These little guys here measure battery temperature and voltage directly on the battery themselves. They communicate to the charge controller, the rest of the system, and the gerbo, the kind of the monitoring station up there where I'm pointing. So they work together as far as understanding peak ability of the batteries and so on. So it's pretty cool. Now this system is all Victron energy. You can see here. I have no affiliation with these guys. It's just the parts and the pieces that I chose. But I used all of their components together. Part of it is they all communicate together really well, so it's kind of cool. Anyway, so I have 3 batteries. These are 100 amp hour, 12 volt batteries, and they provide energy to they're the DC voltage input to the inverter. So this is a 12 volt inverter. It's 1200 watts. And I keep that on constantly, so it's being fed from these batteries directly. Now the batteries are charged from the solar panels, and so that charge controller up there is the individual that's responsible for taking the high voltage input from the panels, and it then will charge the batteries, or combination energy, of course, is provided to the inverter as well as needed. But they are, the charge controllers are critical. If you have to size these right with the amount of voltage and current capability, so there's a whole slew of different charge controllers. But this particular one, you can see it's MPPT 15035. That means it will handle up to 150 volt input at 35 amps. And so that's the limitation of that charge controller. If I span or look over this way, this is a distribution. It's called a PV combiner box if you have multiple strings. And a string in solar world is nothing more than however many panels you put in series or parallel combinations. And each string would feed into its own charge controller. Okay? So I have this in place. If I go over here and look, the reason I have this here is I have another breaker for the solar panels directly, so I could turn them off. Or of course, if it tripped for whatever reason, you know, it's a isolation piece right here. It also has lightning protection. Now, to be honest with you, that only works if you have a good ground, and with a trailer on rubber tires and off ground, that's not quite ideal. But up here in the top, the Gerber S, this is a module. It is connected to the internet. It's listening to each of these different devices, and it provides great visibility and access remotely to your system as a whole. So that's actually pretty cool. Over here, by the way, if you're curious what that is, that's just a GPS tracker. So I know where the vehicle is, the trailer. Obviously, it's typical trackers. It has geofencing capability, that type of thing. But this is the heart of the solar system. Now, I could easily add more battery capacity if I wanted to. You can see I got plenty of space for that. I could put a bigger inverter in if I needed to. I think this is more than enough. My need and interest in power is not that great. So I think this is actually more than enough. In fact, I would argue probably overkill. Okay? So one reason I selected the Victron energy solar components, they'll connect, talk to each other, communicate with each other. They have all sorts of modules. So you can pick up just an inverter, you can pick up a solar charge controller, you can build whatever system you want. What I like about it though, let me show you this. I'm just going to pan over here. I have my mobile phone in my hand, and basically I'm showing you a screen. This is live. This shows basically the state of charge, the solar generation capability, and so on from my system. And this is all available over the internet, of course, so I can be wherever I'm at, and I can check in to see how much battery life I have, how well the system's doing. I can do that virtually anywhere and anytime. So just thought I would show you. That's pretty cool. All right, so walking inside the trailer, talking about the solar system and what's in the vehicle now. So up in this corner, there used to be a breaker box distribution center, if you want to think of that was in the trailer originally. I pulled that out, and instead I put in this load center, actually, is what this is. And it provides circuit breaker protection for each of the different lines, very similar to a home, as you can tell. And it has two main inputs, and then it has independent breakers for various, lighting, power outlets, that type of thing. So this allows access from the inverter 120 volt supply. This breaker provides access if a generator was used, and so you could use either or. But that's why this is in place. And talking about some of the cool things, when you think about, when you have 120 volts, when you have power more than just 12 volts, it gives you options that you wouldn't think of otherwise. Now, some devices you could use step up or step down converters from 12 volts DC and not bother with an inverter for 12 volts. I get that. But while I was at this, I wanted 120 volts so I could plug in, I don't know, laptops, computers, any device that has and needs 120 volts. I didn't want to worry about or have only it limited to a couple things. So that's why I went with a full inverter system. So what I did, I have a hotspot in the vehicle. So that's powered from the solar system directly. It's not using DC directly. It is using 120 volts, but that's fine. It actually provides continuous internet access to the vehicle. And now with that being that it's inside the trailer, let's go back outside here really quick. You have to have an antenna that will provide access to your cell, right? Metal buildings are typically really bad for cell signals. So if I point up there, see that little dude? That's an antenna. That's an antenna for the cellular system. It's a high gain antenna, and that allows and provides really, really good internet connectivity, 4G, not 5G, but that's what I have in here now. So internet is 24/7. Now, when you think about, okay, I have power, continuous power, I have internet. You can think about, well, what would you like to do that you wouldn't do otherwise or think about? So if you look up here, I actually added a 4K camera. So I have access to the interior of this trailer whenever I want to. And, it's a smart camera too, so it does, people detection, all that kind of stuff, notifications and everything else. So that's just one example. Now, what I've done, because there are potential days where, it might be cloudy for a week or something, right? Or longer. And I wanted to be able to conserve conserve battery energy storage in the event that, you know, there's long durations of no sun. So I put smart devices in for power distribution. So remotely, I can actually turn on and off selective AC outlets. And with that, for an example, the camera I'm just talking about, I can actually turn that on or off selectively and conserve energy. So that's pretty cool. And I actually have a couple of these sitting around the trailer as well. I'll probably mount these on the wall or whatever not, but these are smart devices. They are, again, configurable where I can selectively turn on and off different outlets. I think that's pretty cool. So I've done that. Now, the other thing I did is I put security in the trailer, and this is cell-based security. I don't have any affiliation with these guys, right? So this is Simply Safe. It uses cell itself. It also uses internet. So that gives me full access to the trailer. I can, well, it's monitored, you know, police, that type of thing. And, you know, it allows me to actually arm and have security on the trailer 24/7. Wherever it's located. So I've done that as well. So that's about it. The installation for the solar system, you know, it was kind of a pain in the ass, to be honest with you. It took a little more time than I was expecting. I'll let you know how well the panels work. Being mounted on the rooftop like that, you know, they have that highly rated adhesive, that double-backed adhesive that is supposed to do a good job. So we'll see how that works. I'll let you know if there's any issues with that. Now, when you size your system, if you're going to do something like this, just think about what your needs are. You know, how many watts you're going to draw on any given day on average, right? So if it was 200 watts a day, right, 300 watts a day, that would allow you then to back into rough calculations on how much battery storage you need first. And so for me, that would be the place to start. So how long do you want the system to be able to operate with no sun, right? So the way I've sized this one, I can operate about 10 days roughly with no sun. That's quite a long period of time. And the reason I added more solar capacity on the rooftop, so 1,000 watts, right? Now 1,000 watts, when you think of solar, and I'll come back to my point here in a minute, if your day is, say, five hours, which a lot of people use for a calculation, where you have strong, you know, good sun for 5 hours a day, that's 5,000 watts or 5 kilowatts of energy production in one given day, right? Now, if you had 7-hour good sun, you follow me? You know, the calculation would change. It would be 7 kilowatts a day. Way more than I need. The reason, though, I did that, and to my point, I wanted to have the ability, if I was off, or if I was in a no sun mode for a long period of time, you know, I wanted to have enough energy generation capability when even partial sun, where the panels could actually produce enough energy to get the batteries back topped off again, right? That's the only reason. I'm not going to be running air compressors in here or that type of thing. So, you know, that's my my rationale with that. Now, you could easily, with a system about this size, you could run virtually everything you need in your trailer without having a generator. Air compressor is one example, probably not. An air conditioner in the trailer? No, there's no way, right? You would need a much larger inverter. Well, everything. You'd need more battery capacity, you'd need more solar capacity, that type of thing. But virtually everything else, you could show up for a race weekend, no generator running, and virtually everything you would need from all your computers and radio, you know, charging your radios, all that kind of stuff, you could operate completely off grid with solar. So it's kind of cool. But you know, think about that one. If you're going to do this for your trailer, just think about, you know, what is it exactly you'd want to have access to. Now, if you don't care about having 24/7 monitored, you know, security, if you don't care about having, you know, internet available in your trailer anytime, you don't care about video access, that type of thing, you could get away with a much smaller system. In fact, all the way down to the lowest common denominator, you could just have a small trickle charger on your rooftop that charges your single lead acid battery in the trailer. And if all you care about is that you have enough for basic dome lights in the trailer when you get in, nothing more than that, you know, that would do it, right? But anyway, it's food for thought, so you can think about those things. Well, solar energy in your race trailer. I don't know if I've seen anybody do that before. Again, it's probably over the top. It's probably a little crazy. I'll let you know how it goes, though. Now, in this video, if you look at the details below, I'll provide a link and access to all the different components and parts that I've used for this, and you could source those yourself directly. Now, Victron Energy, who I selected for a lot of the components, and Rheology for the solar panels, you know, I don't have any affiliation, guys. This is simply just parts that I chose. I have used Victron Energy a little bit on the house on a couple pieces. But yeah, it seems to work really, really well. But there's a lot of solar products out there. You could pick and choose, you know, virtually anything that that made sense for yourself. Okay. But you know, having said all that, I think this is something that you might want to consider for your trailer. Again, I'll report in from time to time. You know, when I'm doing other segments, other videos, I'll keep you updated how well this system's working. What I like about it, what I don't, that type of thing, okay? But that's it for this video. I hope you've learned something, and there's a lot of other stuff coming out. Again, we'll be heading out for some testing in the next couple weeks. We're doing a lot of rework on the car. We're doing a new body kit on the race car currently. We're trying to make it a little less, let's say, draggy, right? A little more slippery. To get a little more top speeds out of it. But anyway, that's it for now. So until next time, okay? Ciao.